This is a book which is by Cornel West, a very smart man who I believe is at Princeton, a very smart man who is very usually on a show on HBO which is called Real Time with Bill Maher. This is his book which is called Democracy Matters. He has a book which he wrote before this which is called Race Matters. Both are awesome books. So in Race Matters he termed a thing which is called Black Nihilism, which you can kind of imagine what that's about. And I did make a video about that. And in this book, he kind of terms two kinds of nihilism, and I want to discuss one of them in this video, which is kind of called American nihilism. The whole thing here is he's talking about the problems with democracy as it is here, and he's kind of as sort of hinting at a better kind of democracy that could be were the people that we've elected to lead us and to govern us, were they not greedy and corrupted, then we might have this better country or better place. He kind of is hinting that at the fact that it's a capitalist, market-driven. It's a capitalistic market-driven place here, and the democracy that this has become is not the most really genuine kind that is the best for everyone. There's no public interest involved quite as much anymore. So I think I do want to make some more videos on this, and I probably will tomorrow. But in this video I want to discuss what he terms American nihilism. And it's like, what happens is that people, that stuff happens. The greed and the corruption occurs in the government, and the people who are elected officials and who are in power are going to try to get as much out of the economy and out of the market as they can, and it's consumption driven and it's money driven, and it's the people who are in power are going to try to get as much capital or money as they can, and it's kind of, Marx does discuss this a little bit, and there is a kind of a bit of an element in this in West's writing that is kind of likened somewhat to Marx, and he does have a book which I got around here somewhere, which is called the Ethical Dimensions of Marxist Thought. But it's just like, there in this country today, there is a lot of poor people and middle class people who struggle so much, and that is why there is strife and tension and dissension and just really a lot of unrest in this country, and they are looking for somebody to blame, and it's usually Obama, but that he isn't really the entire cause of it. I personally think that it's the cause of the Senate. I hate Senate, and I hate the House, because they are corrupted and greedy people. And the people on Wall Street and everybody who has power are going to try and further their own ends, and they don't really have a concern for the public interest no longer. And because of that, it's like, if you recall the Occupy Wall Street movement, they were kind of dogging on the upper 1%. And there's some truth to that movement, which the whole thing is that if the top percents of the top richest people are going to try and keep on furthering their own ends, which they're going to do that way easier because they have the power and they have the money, therefore they can further their own ends way better than some middle class or poor person can. obviously. I mean, and if they do that, they have this kind of, they have this kind of mindset, which is called a trickle down thought process, which means that, hey, if I further my own ends, then it will just kind of it'll trickle down towards the others, and because therefore if I further my own ends, then it will roll downhill. I guess it will fall down towards them too, because and it's kind of like a thought where if I benefit, they will benefit, which is a total lie. I mean, it's bullshit. Really, it's really what it is. So because of this corruption and this greed that the upper 10% of the country have, and the greedy and corrupted elected officials that we have here in the Senate and the House, and possibly even the president, because of that causes a lot of problems, of the middle and lower class people. It's like the conservatives cutting taxes for the rich. That's the trickle down economics thought process, which is that doesn't work. It's just cutting taxes for the rich, which means that the middle and lower classes will have more percentage of taxes, which that's what happens, and I think that's kind of a lot of times that a far right elected official will do way more than a moderate or a leftist official will. But if you can see how this is kind of working, this causes a problem among the lower and middle class people, because they will have less money, therefore less food to eat, and less quality of life. So a nihilism is a feelings of worthlessness, depression, hopelessness, and West says more importantly, lovelessness. So they have this attitude that they don't really have a good outlook on life. It's like why even try, because I'm not gonna succeed here, because I don't have the power they do. Therefore, they will get what they want. I won't. So it's a American nihilism, in that they have feelings of worthlessness and lovelessness and depression, because they are in a place that they really cannot get out of. Nihilism is not confined to Black America. Psychic depression, personal worthlessness, and social despair are widespread in America as a whole. The vast majority of citizens struggling to preserve a livelihood, raise children, and live decent lives are disillusioned with social forces that seem beyond their control. Just as in the Black community, the saturation of market forces in American life generates a market morality that undermines a sense of meaning and larger purpose. That's it. That's it right there. So there's nihilism on three levels. There's nihilism as a whole, but there's three of them that he discussed. The third one, which is also in this book, which is called political nihilism. And I think that Cornel West is just awesome. I love his writing, and he's really is pointing out a lot of why this country is, excuse my language, fucked up. That's why. It's because of greed and corruption, people caring more about themselves and less caring about public interest and public well-being, and it's more caring about oneself rather than another. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, or on the side, wherever it is.